All right. Well, I want to thank you guys for being here on another broadcast on the Mama Thrive Talks. And today we have in the house Doula Cherise Gordon-Doyley, right? Did I say that correctly? All right.
Yes,
Doyley.
sir.
All right. She's with Soul Sista Birth Services. And her website is soulsistabirthservices.org, which I'm sure we'll have up here in a second. I'm so delighted that you're on this podcast conversation today, Cherise. How are you doing today?
I am doing amazing. Thank you so much for having me. I am excited to be here and share more information about my business and about doulas.
Awesome, awesome. Love the beautiful smile, and I love the painting in the background. It looks like is it someone giving birth, or is it a mother holding her new baby?
Yes, it is a mother and a child.
Wow.
And I love everything to do with childbirth and parenting. So my house is riddled with paintings of Black moms and babies.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. You think about birth, right? You're thinking about life, something so special, something so new. What got you like? Was this something you were born with, or did something happen in your life? What got you so inspired and in love with not only babies, right? And specifically, you have a focus on Black babies, which are um, almost becoming an endangered species if you think about it. Um, but just this whole process of helping mothers out, like what was that light bulb? What was that thing? Was it something innate or something that was developed?
Honestly, I think it was a little bit of both. Like some of my earliest memories, I remember playing doctor, and in that I used to help people to give birth. My younger brother, I remember we got in trouble for me having his legs open, and I'm like, push, so the birth coach was always in me. When I was in elementary and middle school, I woke up early to watch TLC, A Baby Story, and watch them during their pregnancy and give birth, and sometimes it ended up in a C-section. Sometimes they had a natural birth. So I've always had a fascination with labor and birth and moms and babies. And then I think that, me becoming a mother myself, I have three children, that further solidified it that this is what I'm meant to do. I've had my own experiences as far as like traumatic childbirth that really pushed me into becoming a doula, because I knew that this was something that I didn't want anybody else to go through. So it's a mix of life experiences and also something that I just naturally have been drawn to. So it's been a long time coming.
Okay, okay, nice, nice, nice. So you said this word doula, right? And it's
Mhm.
only probably in the last few years that I've even come to understand slightly what a doula is. And we did some research, and this was like the top question that people ask on Google and Yahoo. Is what is a doula, and what do they do? That's basically exactly how they tend to write the question. Can you answer that question?
Of course, and I like that you mentioned that it's a fairly new concept to be called a doula, but doulas have been around since the beginning of childbirth. So a lot of times when you look at old pictures or sculptures of people giving birth, you have two other women that are there with the birthing mother, and that is the midwife, and then the doula or the servant that is there to emotionally support the mother and coach the mother through that birthing process. So today, as doulas, we do the same thing. We are your emotional and informational support person throughout your pregnancy, during the actual labor, and then into the postpartum period. So As far as emotional support, we are there to listen and, offer advice and guidance about any type of stress that you might be having or during the pregnancy. And then when you actually go into labor, we stay with you 24/7 at the hospital or the home birth, wherever you choose to give birth. And we give you that emotional support and those words of encouragement. You're doing great. You can do it. Only one more push. Like we are there with you pretty much the entire process from the time that you get pregnant until after you have the baby. After you have the baby, we come into the home. We do newborn care, so that can include giving the baby a bath, changing the baby, pretty much taking care of the baby while the mom gets rest. We're very big on the first 40 days. We don't want the mother's feet to touch the ground, meaning we want the mother to be able to rest and bond. We don't want you cleaning and cooking and running errands and at Walmart. So that's where your postpartum doula comes in to pretty much fill that gap for them to be able to transition into motherhood. So, with informational support, we offer that throughout the pregnancy into the postpartum as well. So, if you have a certain um, ailment during your pregnancy or you just have questions, like say the doctor is telling you you have a big baby so you'll need a c-section, that's something that you contact your doula about. And we are evidence-based, meaning that no matter what my personal beliefs are or what I feel is the best, we are here to give you evidence-based information based on the facts, based on studies, the pros and cons of different procedures, and how you can be able to maneuver, how you can make an informed choice, which is knowing your rights as the patient and knowing all the facts, having the full picture so that you can make a decent decision for you and your family. After the baby comes, we also do informational support in the way of breastfeeding education and parenting classes. So a lot of times, new moms will be kind of shy. They don't know, feel like they don't know enough about taking care of baby. They might not know how to change a diaper, or just having complications with breastfeeding or getting a baby on a schedule or whatever the case may be. Your doula is there to be that informational support person for you as well. And above all, I tell people your doula is like your best friend, best informational friend during pregnancy and after that baby comes. We are there to support you, to serve you in whatever capacity that you feel like you need that help in.
Okay, great, great, great. So you already touched on a lot of the benefits, but more specifically, are there other benefits, of having uh, a doula during childbirth? Because studies have shown that having a doula present during childbirth can lead to shorter labor, for example, and some
Definitely.
fewer medical interventions. Can you elaborate on that?
Of course. So like you said, there have been studies that show that doulas improve birth outcomes, and this has been proven time and time again. So, when we say improve birth outcomes, we mean that mothers are using less pitocin, mothers are using less epidurals or any type of pain management when they have a doula present. The baby's APGAR scores, which is how they score the baby after they come out, to see how they are doing. Those APGAR scores at 1 minute and 5 minute are higher compared to women that do not have a doula. And less forceps usage, less vacuum usage, like less complications in general during that pregnancy and postpartum time. So doulas definitely are an essential part of the birth team,
Okay.
and having that support throughout the entire process is what kind of makes the end result that much better.
Yeah, and it's interesting that according to studies, that even the pain medication becomes minimized. Is that because of the emotional support that studies say is there? Like, can the emotions override even the need? Because if you get that comfort, I don't know. I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
I definitely think the emotional if support aspect is a big part of it, but we also provide physical pain relief support. So that means during your pregnancy, we go over childbirth education with you, your partner, anybody that will be in the birthing room with them. And we show them different positions that they can use for pain relief, like deep squatting or hands and knees and things like that, so that they can be able to deal with the pain. We also teach them how to be able to deal with the pain mentally, and doing birth affirmations. So saying something like, every contraction or every wave brings me closer to my baby. So we get them prepared physically and mentally before the actual labor, and then during the labor they kind of are already in a much better position to be able to handle that pain. And then we also do very much hands-on support. So we use things like rebozos, which are very long scarves that we can use to tie around the mother's stomach while she's
Okay.
in labor, and it can kind of take away from contractions and help her move through contractions. If it's in the front or the back, we can kind of concentrate the rebozo on those areas. We do hip squeezes, which is where we apply counter pressure to the hips, and it helps to open the hip
Mm.
space. It helps the baby to move down. We also do counter pressure on the back. So if you have a posterior baby or a sunny side up baby, which is where the baby's back is towards the mother's back,
Wow.
then that can create a lot of back contractions. So we can do like massages and counter pressure and things like that to be able to literally be a pain relief for them without having to use actual medical interventions and pain medications. So we're very big on the holistic approach when it comes to being able to deal with childbirth and what comes with childbirth, which is obviously sometimes very painful.
Okay. Okay. That's great. That's great. Wow. And as far as, you know, I know that finding doula is not always easy, right? I mean, you could go to Google and type in, find a doula, but this was like the third most popular question. And I can see why. Like when people need a doula, they say, doula near me in Google. Um, what like how do people find you, and how do people find doulas and know that they're finding the right one?
So I tell people, just like when you are looking for any type of healthcare provider, you definitely want to make sure that you are interviewing these people. Don't just choose just don't choose the first person that you talk to. You want to go down the line, have a list of things that are important to you. So if it's important for you to have a natural, unmedicated water home birth, then you need
Mhm.
to make sure that the doula that you choose is in alignment with that. And then as far as finding doulas, there are many places that you can find them online, such as Sister Midwife Productions. It is a directory for Black midwives and doulas, and you can search by location. Also, there's many Facebook groups specifically for Florida. I know there's Doulas Connect of Florida, and anybody can join that. You don't have to be a doula. You can be a pregnant mom as well, and join that group, and then just kind of post like, "Hey, I'm 20 weeks pregnant, or I'm 8 weeks pregnant. I'm in such and such area," and list the things that you're looking for in a doula, and then you can get responses like that. Always do your research. Always ask questions. How many births have you attended? Do you feel comfortable with supporting me through a hospital birth? Because some doulas only like working in the home birth setting. Some doulas like working in the hospital. Some do both, like me. So, really just making sure that you and your doula are on the same page
Okay.
when you do find that person. And then, of course, Google is always our best friend. So just Googling doulas in your area. Now, what is? Oh, sorry, my phone is ringing.
It's okay.
But what's very special about Florida is that doulas have recently become covered by
Wow.
Florida Medicaid. So if you are on Medicaid in Florida, you a doula through any of the Medicaid insurance companies. So this is United Healthcare, Sunshine Health, Humana,
Wow.
any MMA plan, which is a Medicaid managed plan in Florida, is covering doulas. Now, depending on what plan you are on, is going to determine how much coverage you get for doula services. So I know my organization personally, we are in network with Sunshine Health Medicaid plan, and they cover unlimited visits, prenatal and postpartum, up to a year postpartum with the doula. So it's pretty much, a free for all. As long as you are pregnant or under a year postpartum, you can be able to get those services. Other organizations like, it's something beeping. Hold on.
Okay.
I'm sorry. This is crazy. And I have my phone on Do Not Disturb. Okay. But other organizations like United Healthcare, I know that you have to meet certain criteria, like being a high risk pregnancy or having social determinants of health that are not in your favor, like of course being an African American is one, or being low income, having gestational diabetes or a history of infant loss. All those things would qualify you for a doula through Medicaid. So it's really important that if they are low income and they are on Medicaid, to reach out to their specific plan to see what type of doula services are covered on their health plan.
Oh man, that's amazing. That the state's doing that. And so, but if someone is, again, that's great that doulas are covered. Those who are listening, please take advantage of that. But I know some people, one of the top 10 questions is, what's the difference between a doula and midwife? Because I think some people would struggle with that decision, because midwifery is becoming very popular and part of everyday American language when it comes to childbirthing. But what's the difference there?
And I definitely get this question a lot as well. So the best way that I can explain it is, a doula coaches while a midwife catches. So they catch the baby. Your midwife is your medical provider during the pregnancy. So your midwife is there to make sure that in the case of a medical emergency, or medical abnormality during the pregnancy, that they can respond to it. So midwives are the ones that are going to do your genetic testing during the pregnancy. They're the ones that are going to be doing your labs. They are going to be checking your cervix during the pregnancy and during labor, doing your vital signs, and checking on you and the baby, doing your fetal heart tones, which is listening to the baby's heart. Your midwife is that medical support person. So usually people either see a OBGYN or a midwife. You usually don't see both, because midwives are trained in providing care for normal low risk pregnancies. So if it's a high risk pregnancy, you usually cannot go to a midwife unless you get them to do what's like a plan of care with a OBGYN, where you get your prenatal care from the midwife, but you ultimately would give birth in the hospital. Now, the way that a doula differs is that we are non medical, okay? So when I come to your house, I will not be checking your cervix. I will not be taking your blood pressure. I can definitely help you monitor if you are having any type of blood pressure concerns or gestational diabetes concerns. We can definitely be that extra voice to say, hey, did you check your blood pressure today? That kind of thing. But as far as any type of medical procedures, we do not do. We are strictly emotional support person. So if you're stressed out, we're here to talk. If you're really excited, we want to hear that too. We are your community resource support. So if you need help with food, you need help trying to get items for the baby, then we can refer you out. Or if you need that informational support, like I said earlier, in regards to questions that you might have during the pregnancy or after the baby comes. That's your go-to person, your doula. And then, of course, if you need help after the baby comes, as far as someone that will be in the home to actually help you with the baby and help you with yourself and your recovery, then that's where we come in. Okay. We're very hands off sometimes. I know, especially myself, when there is a partner present, we can pretty much train your partner or a family member to be able to kind of be um, a doula during the labor. So I can teach your partner how to be able to use Durabozo and how to be able to do counter pressure. We are an added benefit to the birth team. We are not there to take the place of anybody in your birth circle. So that includes the midwife, your partner, OBGYN, or whoever else that you have already on your team.
Okay. Great, great, great. And then how much do doulas usually cost out of pocket? I know that if people have insurance,
Honestly,
and what if they don't have insurance too?
okay, sorry.
Okay.
Honestly, doulas range. So it all depends on the experience of the doula. A newer doula, a lot of times they will do free births or they will do very low cost births, $500 to $700, depending on the area that you are in. Versus more experienced doulas obviously go up in price, and that can range from 1,000 to $1,500 depending on the area that you live in. And I mean, it can get even higher than that, just depending on what type of packages that you sign up for. So some doulas only do birth doula services and support you during the pregnancy and the labor, and you get maybe 2 visits postpartum. And if you only do that, then that would be a lot cheaper than if you were to do, let's say, a whole fully inclusive package that includes maybe 3 prenatals, the birth, and 10 postpartum visits. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of doulas do offer payment plans and sliding fee scales to be able to go off of your income. But I definitely think it's worth reiterating that Medicaid has really changed the game in making sure that low income women have access to doulas. And then with that being said, also, doulas can accept some commercial insurances. If you have like a health savings account or a FSA, then you can use that to be able to reimburse for doula services as well.
Okay. Okay. Great. Great. So it sounds like there's a lot of support coming from insurance companies, from government. They understand the value of this. Now, if I'm a young lady who just got pregnant, what should I expect in a typical doula client meeting or experience or encounter? Like
Of
what
course.
typically happens in that experience?
So I mean, every doula is different, but there is like a array of topics that we cover as doulas. So, my organization personally, the first time that we talk is going to be your initial consultation. This is where I'm just gathering information about you and the pregnancy and how things are going, and what type of help and support that you feel like you need, and giving you information about our program. And then after that, we start doing home visits. So our program focuses primarily on home visiting, and this can be in the client's home. And pretty much every time we go there, we have a list of different subjects that we can cover. So this can be breastfeeding education, this can be childbirth education, this can be parenting, like if they are interested in cloth diapering or they are interested in baby wearing, which is where you strap the baby on and wear the baby around, anything related to babies and parenting, we can cover with you. So each time we do a different subject, and our program is very relaxed in that we allow you to choose what it is that you want to cover. A normal doula visit is going to take about an hour to 2 hours. And we also allow you to be able to choose how often you want to see us, especially Medicaid clients. So some people we might see them once a month, some people we might see them 3 times a week. It really just depends on the client and what type of support system they already have, versus what type of support they feel like they need. Obviously, somebody that is like a first time mom and a single mom might need more help than someone that is married and on their fourth baby. You've been through childbirth before. You kind of have that education aspect. You know what I'm saying? So it's all about meeting people where they are as far as what type of services we provide and what they can expect.
All right, great, great. And I see that you have a team on your website. If I could have Jacob bring up the website, especially the team section. I saw some beautiful faces there. I think it's up. If you can confirm, I think yeah, it looks like it's up. Can you share with me a little bit about your team and why a team? Why not just do this solo and have a team and what's the benefits of some of your team members?
Of course. So we are a community doula program, and we actually need to update that because we just completed 5 new hires.
Oh wow.
But pretty much as a community doula, these are people that live and work and serve the community that they live in. So this can be somebody that goes to church with you, or that you went to high school with, that can support you in that birth. So we are not somebody that's coming from way across town to come see you. Like, we live and work in this environment as well. I think what the most amazing part about our group is we are all people of color, a all black doula group with the exception of one person, our lovely Jezebel, but she is amazing. She is Spanish speaking, she is Dominican, but she is definitely on board when it comes to putting black infant and maternal mortality at the forefront.
Okay.
So I think the most important thing is that all of our doulas are very down to earth, and that we take the approach of not one size fits all, but meeting people where they are. So we are kind of spread out. So right now we currently have 4 doulas in Jacksonville, with including myself, because I am still actively doulaing. I just came from a birth 2 days ago. But we also have Akila, who is in Broward County in Hollywood, Florida. And then we have Jezebel, who is in Deltona, Volusia County, and she also serves Orange County, Seminole County. And then we have Jocelyn in Hillsborough County and Brandon, and she serves surrounding areas. So it is a very fun an upbeat group. Everybody is very close knit, and we bounce ideas off of each other and support each other, and really try to make sure that we have the support we need as doulas, because sometimes it can be difficult. When you have a large client base and a small group of people, it can get overwhelming. So we are like the sisterhood.
Nice, nice, nice. And are there potential risk with just doing a doula childbirth that you guys are aware of, and how do you guys mitigate and prepare for that risk?
So, risk associated with having a doula, I mean, I know I'm very biased because I am a doula, but I cannot really think of a risk in having a doula. If anything, I think that a doula is a very important part of the birth team. Now, with that being said, Um, there are some doulas, and I hope they don't get mad at me when they see this interview, but there are some doulas that do not practice in the scope of practice of a doula. So the scope of practice is what we are allowed to do as doulas, which is being a non-medical support person. A doula should not be checking your cervix,
Mm,
or drawing your blood or anything like that. That's a completely different set of skills. So with that being said, just kind of watch out for doulas that do more than what they're supposed to when it comes to medically. Also, as a doula, I believe in women's right to birth and being able to birth how they want to and where they want to. But I personally do not support unassisted births right now. So an unassisted birth is a birth where there's only the mother and her support person, like maybe a husband or a friend, but there's no medical professional there. And a lot of times people will want to birth unassisted without having any prenatal care from a midwife or a doctor, and they want the doula present to be the emotional support person. But it can put you in a sticky situation if you have it confused about the job of a doula and you are planning to have an unassisted birth with only a doula present, and then we have a medical emergency like a nuchal cord, like a cord is wrapped around a baby's neck, or your blood pressure is out of control during the labor, anything, hemorrhaging, anything that a doula is not equipped to handle. So I mean that would be the only downside, I would say, to having a doula, is having a doula that does not abide by doula guidelines. And I mean, I'm not against them, but I'm just saying.
yeah, I mean, thank you for that honesty. I mean, that's in any practice, right? I mean, whether it's a lawyer practicing law, whether it's a nurse, whether it's a doctor, whether it's a pilot, it seems to me that malpractice can happen when people stop playing the game the way the game is supposed to be played. Like, you're a role player. You can't be the center and the point guard and the referee at the same time. So it seems that a doula's role is very specific, very focused, but they try to act like they're medical doctors, that have, tons of experience, and or even nurses, right?
Right.
Or they have,
And we are neither.
yeah, which you have experience, but it's in a different way. It's a different focus, and it's more organic, right? It's more ancestral. This is not. I mean, doulas have been around, it seems to me, like midwives since the beginning of time. And of course, like, as our science has increased in the disciplines of medicine, that's where the MDs and the what do they call the OBGYNs, they come in and play a huge role, because there's new levels of medical academic understanding that maybe what the ancestors have been doing for centuries, they dealt with things as they were, and not necessarily like on a cellular level or blood level, or even organ level. So and any last thoughts? I mean, this has been very informative, and I know that one thing that's not going to stop is birth and death. Um,
Of course.
so this is not even there's not even a question whether there's from a business standpoint, a market demand, right? The question is going to be what people are going to choose. Are they going to choose just a Western medical model? Or are they going to use an Eastern ancient model, or an integration of both? And it sounds to me that what you're talking about is your personal conviction is still a recognition of Western medicine, but also an appreciation and a celebration on Eastern approach. When I say Eastern, I'm talking about Africa, Asia, Middle East, things that go back to where man came from. But any last thoughts on this topic?
Definitely. So, I definitely think that everything is not for everybody. So, I do support Western medicine when needed, but that's definitely not my first approach.
Sure.
If you are having a high risk pregnancy and a lot of complications and things like that, then definitely, go see the OBGYN, because they are trained surgeons. So they are trained for medical emergencies that might result in a C-section. But if you are having a very normal, low risk pregnancy, I definitely recommend going with the midwife route. Um, and with that being said, either one of those routes are fine, and a doula can support you in either facet, so a doula is not just for somebody that wants a natural unmedicated birth. Some people might want an epidural, some people might not feel comfortable or confident enough to give birth at home, or might not have a steady home for them to be able to give birth in, so they want to give birth in the hospital, or they don't want to see a midwife, they want to see an OBGYN. So that's perfectly fine. I think the most important thing to note about doulas is that we meet you where you are at. Okay. So of course I love, the natural, unmedicated home birth, water birth approach. But ultimately, as your doula, I am here to support you in whatever decisions you feel that you need to make for you and your child and your family, So, um, doulas definitely is a necessity. And that's something that I think is very important for people to know, especially for Black women. Okay, so I don't want to end this on a grim tip, but we know that when Black women step foot in hospitals, the same hospital that white women give birth in, our lives are in danger. So, with that being said, if you do choose to go into the hospital, make sure that you have backup. Make sure you have somebody that is knowledgeable and that can be able to help you advocate for yourself, and is going to make sure that you have the full picture, and that you are not getting bullied into procedures, or that you don't fall between the cracks, that your complaints and concerns are heard by your medical team. Okay, because it's getting dangerous out here, okay? Especially for Black mothers and Black babies. And even we see this infant and maternal mortality amongst Black people happening after the baby is born or during the postpartum period. Those infant mortality rates and maternal mortality rates is talking about up to 1 year postpartum. So you can get through the pregnancy and get through the birth perfectly fine, and then you have complications after your pregnancy that your doctor is not paying attention to or not listening to, and then now here we are dead,
Yeah.
a week or a month after you just had a new baby. So I don't want to like be grim or scare anybody, but I definitely think it's a big part of just understanding the importance of having a doula. I tell Black women it's not really a choice or an option, it's a need. Okay, it's a need. So,
And and that reminded me of my last question, and that is, when it comes to the heart behind most doulas, it seems to me that uh, that there's a real kind of missional mindset here, right? It's not just about making money and having a career, but to get into this profession, you really have to have a lot of love. The Mama Thrive mission, as you know, is to help minority women, more specifically Black women who have a high level of mortality, not only for themselves but for their infants, but also Indigenous women and Latin, brown skinned women. Um, how do you see this program from a doula's perspective? Like, how do you see it? How's it made you feel? What is your perspective on this? And as you say this, I want you to think about the legislators that have made a decision on this, and will probably be making a decision in a year from now. What do you say to the gatekeepers, right? That really influence legislation. They influence putting pressure on insurance companies about what's important as a basic healthcare human right.
Definitely. So a part of being a doula is being an activist and being an advocate. And I have been so blessed and just enamored with the Mama Thrive program because it is targeting the people with the most need. So, Black women, Black infants. And it's pretty much eliminating the need for transportation because it's doing telehealth. So it's definitely increasing access of care. But not only that, it's not just about access to care, it's about the type of care that these women have access to. So I see that Mama Thrive is partnered with other Black led organizations that have Black providers that are going to provide care for the participants. And that's very, very, very important. We know that Black women and Black babies respond better when they have a healthcare provider that looks like them. They're more likely to open up and to show up to appointments and to trust their medical provider that looks like them. So I think that's a very important aspect of what Mama Thrive does, is giving access of care and the level of care that women are receiving through this program. It's also just amazing to have something that is for us and by us. You know, the program director is an African American woman, so even just seeing that, seeing the nurse educator is a Black woman, seeing that you know, the case managers and things like that are all Black people, is something that we don't see a lot, and that further makes this program very valuable to Black women. And honestly, with the telehealth aspect, remote monitoring, it is able to save lives. Okay, a lot of women can't make it to their prenatal appointments because they are having issues with transportation or with childcare. So to have something that you can constantly be monitored and have access to skilled practitioners like nurses and dietitians and doulas and all in mental health therapy and things like that from the comfort of your home is something that's very important. This is what we are talking about when we say that we want to increase health equity, and this is how you do it. It's about meeting the patients where they are at, and I think that Mama Thrive is doing an amazing job with meeting patients where they at so that they can get the health care that they deserve.
That's great.
Yes, and
That's
I mean,
great.
I can get on the soapbox
Yeah.
because
No, that's great. No, I appreciate it. No, I mean, you said it well. I could tell that you're passionate about this. You're passionate about justice and mercy, which we need both. Amen. And I really appreciate this conversation. You're definitely one of the my most favorite podcasts because I could see how this flows from your heart. There's been no script. There's no very little preparation. I mean, we just discussed really briefly before the meeting. So what that tells me as someone who's done hundreds of podcast interviews is you're the real deal. I mean, you embody it, you carry it. When someone is living it and they have conviction, they don't need no script. You could put them on a stage 5 minutes before, and they may be nervous, which you were, but they're still going to speak because there's fire in their bones. This is not something that they are. This is not theater. They're not acting for people. And Cherise, I could see that you're the real deal. And again, I appreciate everything you've shared. I'm excited as this goes out into all of Agape Family Health Networks, all their social media streams, and then they share it with their friends and family, how this is going to impact them, and also to see the growth of the collaboration that you have with Mama Thrive and Agape Family in the Jacksonville area and throughout the state of Florida. And I hope that those who are watching will go to your website. I think we have it on the screen here. I know it was scrolling earlier, Soul Sisters soulsistabirthservices.org. And I think we had it scrolling there a little bit at the bottom so people could see the domain. There it goes, soulsistabirthservices.org. Guys, check out her website, give her a call. And thank you so much, Cherise Gordon-Doyley. All right, much love.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me. And I just want to add that we are a partnership with Mama Thrive. So anybody that is in that program can receive free doula services through us, no matter if they are on Medicaid, uninsured, or private insurance. So
Nice.
we are happy to be of service. Thank you so, so, so much for having me.
Absolutely. And we'll have you again in a few weeks or months just to kind of dive deeper. If something comes up, right, that's a really important issue dealing with births and Black families, I'll definitely be reaching out to you to get you back sooner. But I look forward to going to part 2 of this conversation and getting more into the psyche, the soul of family and motherhood, and some of the tips that you have. I like to deal more next time on post delivery, postpartum, some of the tips and techniques that you have that can be helpful to moms who've given birth and they're released home. How do they cope? What, how soon should they expect to be back to normal? I've had 4 children myself, and I'm telling you, I mean, it's a traumatic experience, whether it's good or bad. I mean, it's just scary, and having a
Right.
doula there to encourage you and guide you, not only practically, but psychologically, because they have experience, it would be, I think, a great benefit. So I'd love to talk to you about some of those post topics. All right. Much love. Bye-bye.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jack.
No problem. Bye-bye.